Almost there. My journey across America on the Missouri and Mississippi rivers is slowly coming to an end. It all started in Montana many weeks ago. And now, I'm on the lower Old Man River. Always in the flow. I want to follow America's longest river, its entire length, source to sea, almost 4,000 miles. And I'd like to meet the people who live here.
I've been here all my life. I gotta love it. I love the river. I love the water, period.
Blues and blues and blues and more blues for you and yours. Yeah.
When you're traveling, when you're moving, you're kind of in a dangerous, vulnerable position.
From the mountains, the Missouri River flows across the prairie, the Midwest to the Mississippi, and then to the deep south until it reaches the Gulf of Mexico. The final leg will bring me from Natchez, Mississippi to New Orleans and all the way out to the sea. The Mississippi Delta, America's deep south. It is unbearably muggy. Temperatures here can reach the 90s and above until way into the fall. I stop in Natchez, the oldest city in Mississippi, founded in 1776. About 14,000 people live here, high above the river. Many say that Natchez is the most beautiful city on the Mississippi. Not only for the Old Man River, but also the architecture. There's no other place where you can find this many antebellum homes. Over 1,000 historic structures have been preserved. The splendor of the Victorian villas and public buildings goes back to the once rich cotton plantations. Today, tourism plays a big role in the economy of Natchez. 2/3 of the population are African Americans. I meet with a woman who wants to tell a different story about the history of Natchez and Mississippi. Jarita Frazier King is the founder of the Natchez Heritage School of Cooking. She tells me about her heritage. First, the official version.
So I am a 8th-generation descendant of George Fitzgerald, Scottish Irishman, and his Jamaican slave woman named Mary. But later on we find out that wasn't really the story. But they were in fact a couple and they were in love. But it was a forbidden love because during the time it was illegal for someone to marry an enslaved person. And this is the gateway also to what we call locally From Forks to Freedom, which having forks of the road at the beginning of the street, which was the second largest slave trading market. You can see how the city progressed from bringing enslaved persons in all the way up to them being business owners. I'm the owner of Natchez Heritage School of Cooking. Some people call me Chef Rita, but it's Jarita, it's fine. I'm proud of my family heritage, and I like to tell my story. So we are going to start by making one of my signature dishes, which is a black-eyed pea and collard greens. Most of the time, you will still see African Americans celebrate this tradition on New Year's. And so a big part also too of recipes, for me, I learned how to cook from my mother and my grandmother, and because slaves weren't able to read, a lot of these recipes are passed down traditionally in their oral traditions. Everything was done to taste, as grandma liked to say. But I figured out a little bit of her metrics. You know, this is a teaspoon, a tablespoon, this is a cup, and this here is about a cup, 2 cups, keep on going. So we're gonna let you just sprinkle that in, and that's good. One more time for good measure.
Okay.
Dump that right on in there. All right.
That's the fun part.
That's the fun part. And cooking from soul food is about cooking from the heart. So you're putting your spirit in here when you're doing this.
I'm trying to read it.
You have women who were able to go between places, between the world of the enslaved and the world of the free people with the slave and slave master inside of their home. So a lot of times that was the only person that was able to take information to and from.
Okay.
All right, well, it is ready. It is ready. So now we're going to roll our fritters. You're just gonna get a little of it. You're gonna put it in your hands like so, and you wanna rub it right in your palm. This is gonna make a really good ball on it.
Bigger than this?
That's good. That's great. Good. And this is what women would do during some of that tribal time where they're preparing meals and different stuff like that. So we're gonna move on over and we're gonna fry these. Of course, you have to fry these in the cast iron skillet. I just turn them over. I turned them over twice, see they're brown.
Good and very so they don't burn. That's a little barbecue-ish. I like that.
It is a sweet and spicy.
This is really good.
Jarita doesn't just want to cook amazing food. She also wants to preserve the culture of her ancestors, the African slaves.
You still have to reflect some on the past, even though we're here today. Life is what you make it, you know, but there are opportunities here, you know, in Natchez for people and people who want to, you know, get into business. But, you know, we try not to live in the past. We want to kind of move forward. I mean, slavery happened, the civil rights happened, and none of those things that we can change, but we can take from it and learn how to become better people and move forward. So life is good.
Back in the flow. The Old Man River continues to flow slow and steady to the south. Cotton that once brought wealth to Natchez is still an important industry along the Mississippi, despite the fact that soy and other grains now bring in more money. Almost every day, I see crop duster planes in the sky. Just behind the levee of the Mississippi, countless fields cover the landscape. And they have to be sprayed so that the harvest will bring the yield that the farmers hope for. Skip Meredith is a crop duster pilot.
Insecticide, stuff like that to kill the bugs in the cotton, and we spray another chemical in there too that keeps the cotton from growing, keeps the cotton short, you know, to produce more fruit.
Then the plants are more resilient and produce more cotton. Technically, the aircraft is just a one-seater, but somehow I managed to squeeze myself in. The cotton in bloom. It will take many more weeks before it's ready to be harvested. And the crop dusters will continue to fly almost every day. Some of the maneuvers are really badass. Crop duster pilot is one of the most dangerous jobs in America. Each year, dozens of pilots lose their lives. During the summer, Skip is in the air all day long. A job without a net.
You have to be the right person to do the job. I mean, it's not fit for everybody. Things happen fast. You know, it's doing 160, 170 across the field, and you got to be watching for power lines, trees. You know, dead trees are sticking up. Just this year, we've had 6 airplanes go down. I try not to think about that. You know, I got 3 kids at home and a wife, and you know, like I always said, if the good Lord wants to take me, it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And you're not going to stop it. So that's the way I look at it. I wouldn't do anything else. I love it. We're helping the farmers out by getting their crops ready so they can make a living, you know, and have a crop. And we try to do it the best we can and not hurt somebody else or hurt anything else. And you know, we're very cautious on what we do. If you don't spray that crop, you can go by and you can see the crop just getting eat up. You know, there won't be nothing there. It's just the bugs that eat on that cotton.
I paddle on. 12 states are behind me. Now, I reach the final one on my journey, Louisiana. Along the shore, more and more industrial areas. The traffic also increases. Barges everywhere. Blues Highway 61 runs parallel to the Mississippi. It follows the river for about 1,400 miles. And down here in the south, it leads to one of the last remaining legendary juke joints.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Teddy's. Glad to have you back again. Hope you enjoy
Teddy
yourself.
Johnson is the owner of Teddy's Juke Joint.
We're gonna talk. Nothing but blues and more blues for you and yours, coming from the house of Teddy. And I'm gonna do my best to entertain you, to keep you doing what you do, to do your best, right here at Teddy's Juke Joint.
Juke joints used to be bars and dance clubs mainly for African Americans.
I'm looking and looking and looking and looking and looking at you, all the way from Memphis, Tennessee. So let's have a good time.
Almost every night, Teddy does what he loves the most, spinning records.
Here it is on Monday. Yeah, star of the show. Flowing up and down the mighty muddy Mississippi. And I am your belly rubbing, titty sucking, nipple squeezing pain man. Knee deep in it, doing it to the mind, the body, and the soul. Yeah.
Teddy is not only the DJ, he runs the place, all by himself, with 76. For him and his guests, the juke joint is more than just a bar. And the sound? Blues, almost exclusively.
Yours truly, Teddy, doing it to you and yours. Yeah, 99% of all the times I play blues. Try to keep people's mind relaxed as much as possible. You know, let them try to take their mind off some of their everyday problems and stuff. And I must be doing something that the people like, or I wouldn't be here 43 years. It's just one of those things. You have some magical nights, and sometimes you have some nights ain't so good. I come in the door, I have no ideas of how things go that night. But I get to moving around and talking to people, playing the music. Then all of a sudden we get something going on. And that's what we call the blues.
Over the decades, fans have contributed to the colorful decoration. It must be thousands of individual items, each with its own story.
And you played here?
Yeah.
You bring them all together?
Well, I used to, but I don't bring them all together like I used to because I don't have the money now. And see, at one time I borrowed $50,000 and I spent it all on entertainment. And it took me 10 years to pay the $50,000 back. And it's just one of those things, you know. And now I don't have no money, so I don't get a whole lot of musicians that like I used to get them.
Teddy lives right behind the Juke joint, where the Mississippi used to flow by.
Oh, we're approximately, if you go straight through there, you're probably about 5 miles from the river. It's right off of New 61 over there.
But it used to be here.
Yeah, the river used to be right here where we're sitting there. In the 1800s, the river shifted its course, and so it moved over. And when it moved over, you know, they started building levees and stuff to keep it from coming back. And, you know, that's the way it do. The river moves from every so often.
She's alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was born in this old part of the building. You see from down, see right there's old part right there. That's the back of it. That's how wide it was. And then all this I added on. Well, life here has been beautiful. I don't want to go nowhere else. When I die, I'm going to be cremated and spread it all around here. You know, my ashes. And what it means to me, I'm trying to keep it alive as long as I live. Because there's no new places opening up. And that's all I know. And I'm not planning on learning how to do nothing else between now and the time that I die. I plan on dying a blues man.
Baton Rouge, the capital of Louisiana. The port of Baton Rouge is one of the most important in America. Even super tankers and gigantic container ships from the ocean make it here. The barges are also incredibly huge. This here consists of 30 barges, floating containers that are tied together. Powerful tugboats park the barges so that the load can be discharged. Joe has been working as a tugboat captain for over 30 years.
One of the biggest in the country. He's come all the way from the Gulf up here from the ocean. Oh, this river's, it's like the lifeline of this country. I mean,
All right, start the fall back.
all right, start taking up your slack. I mean, you know, pretty much all the grain in this country and all runs down this river, you know, from up north. So this river's, I mean, very important for the economy. All right, coming up. We're about 8 inches below right now.
Do you even notice us paddlers out there every now and then?
Oh yeah, we see. Yeah, we see them. We see you've actually paddled up and down the river here. Oh yeah, we see everything. I mean,
Are we annoying?
most of the time, no.
Be honest.
No, most of the time, you know, you're okay. But you know, sometimes we get guys that'll come out in the middle of the river. And you got ship traffic all moving around. I'm like, man, well, you know, go back to the side. You know, you have no business being right out in the middle.
The job on board is teamwork. Captain Joe is steering the tugboat precisely towards the barges.
Over here, put that chain across the bow. Put that go to the next one. Yeah, we all come
Kyle
on.
and Justin work as deckhands.
Yeah, the cameraman's gonna come down there on the fleet deck.
They prepare the containers for transport. Communication and blind trust are crucial.
Yeah, we live out here. I mean, we're out here 28 days at a time. Hey, Justin, go ahead and come drop that headline on this corner on the cable right here so I can kind of pull the barge back. The river's so dead right now, it ain't got enough current to pull it back.
That makes the work pretty challenging. Joe has to arrange the barges in one straight line. Being a tugboat captain is demanding.
It's really high water running north. You have to be real careful not to go too fast, or water come right over the front of the boat, cause the boat to nosedive underwater.
That doesn't sound good.
No, it wouldn't be good. Like I said, it is dangerous out here. I mean, every year in high water, people do drown out here off of boats. I mean, every year you're going to hear a couple of boats up and down the river that sink and people drown. So it does happen. Most important is paying attention to everything around you, being able to process everything around and do it, you know, on the go in a blink of an eye, you know, because things happen so fast out here. You don't have time to stop and think about what you're going to do. I mean, you've got to make reaction, you know, decisions on the move.
Working on the river doesn't allow for any mistakes. That's also true for the deckhands who handle the heavy barges. A dangerous job that Kyle has specifically chosen for a reason.
What's the appeal, I think, of the river for you?
Being away from people. I couldn't never really work any shoreland job. I tried for years and it never really worked out. And when I got out here, it was isolation, and it made it easier. It's actually home.
Is it? The river is?
Mm-hmm.
In what terms?
I don't go home very often, so this is just where I live.
And why did you choose that job and the river to be your working and home place, I guess?
Work's enjoyable, meet good people, make decent friends out here.
So the river connects you all?
Mm-hmm.
The Mississippi connects them all, and she has an impact on them.
Twister around here.
Sometimes the crew is out here for weeks, separated from their families. It is just them and the river.
you miss all the stuff at home. You know, you miss a lot of holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, you know, Christmas, New Year's. You know, that's just something you have to accept, you know, when you work out here, that you're going to miss a lot of that stuff, you know, so. But, you know, overall, it's, you know, it's a good living out here.
So the Mississippi is your mistress?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's probably cost me more than one relationship, because a lot of women just can't deal with the, you know, being gone all the time. You know, it's not in their nature.
The river stretch between Baton Rouge and New Orleans is called Cancer Alley. Studies show a higher incidence of cancer among the residents, possibly because of the many refineries and industrial plants on the banks. But at night, the scenery also has something magical. Plantation country. Magnificent mansions from the slave era are lined up behind the levee. Once built by the sugar barons, they are witnesses from the darkest chapter in the history of the Mississippi. Sugarcane is still grown along the Mississippi River, but many farmers today have switched to other crops. I'm in the field with Teddy.
And what's your crop here?
Huh?
What's your crop here?
Soybeans. Soybeans.
No more sugar cane?
No sugar cane. No. It's one of the main crops around here, probably the main crop.
How many acres?
About 100.
And this used to be river bottom here?
Yeah, it's sandy soil. As you go to the back, it's black land. Some people call it jet black, but a lot of the sandy soil have come from years of river deposits. Overflows from the river, which we don't get anymore because of the levee system.
The alluvial land in the Mississippi River Valley is one of the most fertile regions in the world. In the past, the seasonal floods brought lots of nutrients for the soil. Today's farmers still benefit from that.
You see these right here? That's little buds.
Yeah.
Right there.
So that's where eventually the bean...
The bean will sprout, yeah. It'll make a little pod. It'll make a little pod. Now, and if you notice, this is black land, and you notice the beans are shorter.
Yeah.
And as you go to the sandy land up there, you'll notice that the beans are taller because the sandy land will hold more moisture. Your margins are thin, and sometimes I do well, sometimes I don't, but that's part of farming. You can't judge it in 1 year. You have to go multiple years. And so I imagine it is possible, but just to grow one monocultural crop such as beans, you're not going to raise a family on that amount of acreage.
That's why in his main job, Teddy works for a chemical plant on the river. But farming is way more than just a hobby or extra income. Teddy continues a tradition that has been with his family for many generations.
Farming is a generational thing, and it's been passed from generation to generation, and the landowners have always predominantly been white, and a lot of the black-owned land was either repossessed or bought from the black owner. In our particular case, or my particular case, my family had probably 200 acres, or more land than what I'm farming now. And the tax came and they couldn't pay the tax, and of course the white family bought into the property. And I was told this by my parents. They bought out the property and subsequently they took over the land. So I'm sure that's happened in numerous cases, and not just in this area, but nationwide.
New Orleans, Louisiana's biggest city and the last metropolis on my journey. I land close to Algiers Point, the deepest spot of the Mississippi. Here, the river is about 200 feet deep. New Orleans is one of America's most vibrant and colorful cities. Its heart beats in the French Quarter, drawing millions of tourists each year. And jazz plays a big part in that. The venerable Preservation Hall is one of the best locations to listen to classic New Orleans jazz. Ricky Monet has been part of the ensemble here for a long time. His instrument, the piano.
That's real New Orleans style piano playing.
The Preservation Hall's mission? Preserving pure New Orleans jazz. For about 60 years now. Jazz in New Orleans goes back to the slaves from Africa and their music. This is Shaka Zulu, artist and musician. I meet him at the exact location where it all began, in the 1700s, when New Orleans and Louisiana were a Spanish colony.
Sunday, the whole entire day was dedicated to church. So you couldn't work your workers on that day. So for us, being enslaved, that was a free day, right? And on that free day, we gathered, and Congo Square was one of the few places we gathered, and the drum was always present. So then the dances came, and then the music came, and people came to the gathering. The European people brought horns. So it was the African drums that mixed with those European horns that created this unique music called jazz. New Orleans is the first place of jazz. So that was all done right there in what we call Congo Square. So it's a very, very important structure.
Shaka is not only a musician and artist, he also plays a big part in Mardi Gras in New Orleans. His title, Big Chief of the Golden Feather Hunters. Each year his tribe participates in Mardi Gras, and Shaka dances in the streets for many hours. He also makes his elaborate costumes. This takes up to a full year. Almost every day, Shaka picks up the needle and thread.
So this piece starts like this, and then this is the finished product of it. So it goes from 6 hours for a couple months to about 8 to 10 hours, and then about the last 2 months, 12 hours. In the last 3 days before Carnival, you're not sleeping at all. And the name of this suit is called Shango. So I have it where it's trying to hush the African part. That's why it's in the middle of the African mask. But then, when you turn the suit around, the back of the suit, you don't see the hush.
Yeah.
So I'm showing that there's a group of folk trying to keep it away, and then I'm also saying that I acknowledge that, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
See?
That's clever.
So that's what this suit is about, Shango.
How many hours did you put in?
This is about, I would say 10 months of 12-hour days.
Yeah.
This is over 100-pound suit. Yeah, they're very heavy. Yeah. When you get to those cheap suits, it gets pretty heavy.
So when you put it on, Shaka, like on that day, you work for a full year.
Carnival day, you put it on, and you just own sheer adrenaline, because when you finish, when sundown, and take it off, I usually take about 2 days of sleep. Yeah, because your body is sore, you know, because you're dancing and chanting, and it's a very beautiful spiritual experience that you feel, you know.
There is another thing from Africa besides Mardi Gras and jazz that is inseparably tied to New Orleans. Voodoo. Slaves brought this religion from Africa into the New World. This has helped them to survive the inhumane conditions in the Caribbean and Louisiana, says Sally Ann Glassman. She is a mambo, a high priestess of voodoo. Sally Ann came here in 1976 from Maine, in the far northeast of America. The Mississippi and jazz lured her in, and voodoo.
You want this?
The water down for now.
Sally Ann brings me to a small temple that she built, not far from the French Quarter. Here, she invites me to a ceremony.
Okay. And we're doing this one for Papa Legba, who is the guardian of the crossroads. And there's a basic foundational belief in Vodou that the visible world is surrounded by and buoyed by an invisible ocean of spirit. But that belief that there is an invisible world is really central to an understanding of Vodou and how a Vodou ceremony becomes a kind of technology for going between worlds. Whenever we pour water, I mean, we're pouring the waters from the invisible into the visible. You want to pour 3 drops?
Yeah.
Just anywhere
Right
outside the veve, But as the water is absorbed, it means that Spirit is receiving our prayers. Ba pouvoir, legba atibon, met kalfu, met grand bois, met grand chemin, legba barrière, legba bois, legba kai. And that's it.
Thank you.
So I was born this way, and I do think that Spirit picks people. You don't pick it. I just kind of fell into it, and I, from my earliest memories of the world, see the world as not very solid. It's not looking physically solid to me. It looks like a mirror reflection over a flow of energy, and that energy seems intelligent to me.
Sally Ann's ceremonies have nothing to do with little dolls that you stick needles into to put a spell on disliked people.
Swear that I would never.
That's hoodoo, she says, the touristy Hollywood version.
Paddling on the mighty river. That really gets that through your head. We're below sea level, so the river is above us, and it's quite threatening when there's hurricanes threatening our city. So we're very aware of it at all times, but we think of it as, the song is Old Man River. It's the source of life, it's the source of movement, it's always moving. I think Bob Dylan said he not busy being born is busy dying. So it carries the magical energy of life itself through the city and gives us a very unique flavor. So Lugbug guards you at crossroads in between stations of life, and as you're coming to the end of your journey and starting on the next path, the next world that you go into, he's there to keep you protected and grounded and to help open those doors and help you see what comes next.
My final leg. It's 95 miles from New Orleans to the end of the Mississippi, and the finish of my journey on America's longest rivers. I have witnessed how they have changed over their course, from a wild, free-flowing river to a mighty, industrialized stream. I'm surrounded by nothing but marshland. It is endangered. Every hour, an area the size of a football field is lost. Venice, the last settlement on the Mississippi with a road connection. The small town calls itself fishing capital of the world because of the many sport fishermen who start from here to the Gulf. There are also a lot of shrimp fishermen living in Venice.
How's it going?
Herman is one of them.
How's it going?
He's been fishing for shrimp almost all his life.
So you're going out today?
Yeah, I'll be going.
Okay.
Be going a little later. Sure.
For how long have you been shrimping?
50 years.
Wow.
Maybe a little longer than that.
That's a lot of shrimp.
Well, yeah. It takes a while to learn, too.
Yeah.
From my dad, my grandpa, uncles, and cousins. I've been with all of them.
Yeah.
When it wasn't skimming years ago. It was mostly bottom trawl. That's how I learned from that. Mm-hmm. Learn the waters. The Mississippi River has a lot to do with it.
All the people I met always said it's a she.
I don't never say she. I just said a river. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people do, yeah. But I respect the river. You have to. When it's foggy, or even when it's clear, the boats, bigger boats, the ships, you gotta watch for them because it's dangerous. Yeah. If you gotta get close to the rocks, them big boats will suck the water out and push you back up, they'll throw you on a dock, on the rocks. So you gotta know what you're doing out there. It's really, you gotta watch out there in the river.
Do you love the river also, or is it just respect?
I love the river. Been down here all my life. I gotta love it. I love the river. I love the water, period. That's my living. No matter fresh water, salt water, I've done everything down here. Fish catfish, fish turtle, fish crab, shrimp, everything, shark, everything. This is my job, commercial fisherman, self-employed. It's a good job. It's a good job.
Herman accompanies me for a bit. We are both heading for the sea. Head of passes, the end of the Mississippi. With 3 channels, the Old Man River empties into the Gulf of Mexico. Roughly 2 million times. That's how often I've put my paddle into the water since starting with the kayak in Montana. One stroke at a time. Missouri and Mississippi have challenged me. Several months out there, exposed, alone. But they have also enabled me to see America in a way that's only possible from the water. Both rivers still shape the entire continent more than any other river system. After almost 4,000 miles on the Missouri and Mississippi, I finally reach the sea. Over 4 months in the flow. It is great to have accomplished that. But I also feel empty, wistful. Because now the journey is over. Fortunately, somewhere out there, the next adventure awaits.